What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. For those who are new here, hello and welcome. And for all of my returning subscribers, hey. So today we are back in the kitchen because I have 6 pounds of tomatoes that I so desperately need to do something with. So I went through my cookbook here, which is just the Ball Complete. This is the all new Ball book of canning and preserving, and I found a tomato herb jam recipe to go loosely based on, because I didn't like the herbs de Provence and that, but I'll tell you the things that I'm swapping out, because again, I like a recipe because it gives me like a good base ground to go on, but then like you can swap out your own flavors, and as long as like the measurements as far as the acidity and things like that for canning is concerned, you should be all good to go. So like I said, I have 6 pounds of tomatoes here. Most of these are cherries, but I also have those saladette sizes. The recipe is calling for plum tomatoes, which wants you to core them. I feel like these tomatoes don't necessarily need to be cored. The inside of them are very tender. So what I'm going to do for these is just halve them and put them in my stock pot here. So that's the first thing that I need to do. I need to add 1 tablespoon of salt, a half a tablespoon of black pepper. It calls for 3 garlic cloves, but I'm doing 6. 2 bay leaves, a cup and a half of sugar. I'm using brown sugar instead. Balsamic vinegar. Typically you want to go with 6% acidity. If you go to Aldi, their brand is 6%, so I'll be using theirs. And then Pinot Grigio, which is a white wine. I typically don't go for white wines, and I don't have any on hand. So I do have this red wine blend, so I will be using this instead. Just 1/4 cup of that. And instead of 2 tablespoons of herbs de Provence, I have some basil that I need to use up that has been living in my refrigerator. So for now, I'm going to go through and have each one of these babies into my pot and get this going for an hour, and I will come back and show you what the next steps are. So we are now reduced at about half. You can see that's where the line was in the pot. Now you can see it's all the way down here. So now we can add a cup and a half of brown sugar. That's what I'm choosing to use. In the recipe book, it's calling for just regular sugar. You use whatever you want. This is what I'm choosing to use because I like the way it sounds. I want that depth of flavor, so that's what I'm going for. And then our half a cup of balsamic vinegar. Then 1/4 cup of the red wine. And again, this calls for herbs de Provence, but I prefer basil. And we are going to allow this to cook down for another 45 minutes. And this is fresh basil from the garden. This is about 2 tablespoons worth is what the recipe calls for. I might put in a little bit more just based on the look of it. Yeah, I feel like I definitely want more. So, you do with yours whatever you please, but I want more. Oh, that looks so rich already. And at this point, if you wanted to, you could go on ahead and hit it with the immersion blender. I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I did do was use a potato masher and just mash up all of the tomato bits just as good as I could. But I want to give this a really good stir. And because I like no man left behind, I'm gonna scrape these sides all the way down. Okay, sauce is cooked down, nice and thick. It's been a good 45 minutes. I'm going ahead and turn this completely off. My jars have been sterilizing in my pot that has also been getting ready for heat up. I have my little grabber here for my jars. This is a tool to debubble and to also measure your headspace. It has all the measurements there. You can kind of see them there. For this recipe, it has to be 1/4 of an inch headspace. I have this little funnel here. I have a spoon, of course, lids, rings, and I have some vinegar and a napkin. And yeah, so let's go on ahead and grab our jars, fill these babies up. I feel like I might get at least 6 half pints. We'll see what happens. Oh, did not forget to debubble. All right, everybody's in. So now I will drop this down, and once it comes up to a rolling boil, I will set my timer for 10 minutes. All right, my timer just went off. I like to turn my heat off, pop my lid open, lift these up out. Let me grab something to lift them so I don't hurt myself. Allow these to relax here for a little bit, especially when you're canning something with like high sugar content. I learned this when canning like apple pie filling. The sugars tend to expand, and if you remove them immediately, they tend to want to overflow. So allowing them to relax, kind of come down a little bit. You can already hear them beginning to pop. You hear that? Yeah, that's a good sign. But I'm gonna let these chill just for a little bit, and then I'll pull them out and show you guys the final result. All right, and here we go. We got some beautiful tomato basil jam. Oh, you guys, I love to use this on like avocado toast. You can use this as like a topping for like meatloaves. I really love the Ball cooking book or the preservation cooking book. Anyways, that recipe book, because it gives you some recipes that you can also utilize with some of your canning projects. So meatloaf was one of the things, but like I said, the main thing that I like to use this for, because I've done a similar recipe, not that exact recipe, but a similar one. But when I tasted this, the only thing that I did add, and I didn't share when we were doing the things, I like just a little bit of heat, so I did do just a sprinkle of smoked ghost chilies in there, just enough to add a little bit of smokiness and a little bit of warmth to my jam. But I'm super happy to have this back in my pantry. We ended up with 7 of these little half pints. So I will share some of these with friends and family, and I will also have plenty for myself. So if you guys want more recipes, definitely make sure that you stick around on my channel. Go on ahead, hit subscribe. I'll make sure that I leave the link to this recipe and leave my modifications down in the description below. I thank you guys so much for stopping by. I wish you all health, wealth, and prosperity. And until the next time, peace.